Hey everybody, welcome back to Vanland. Today we want to introduce to you guys the next generation of power systems for your vans. This is an Ecoflow Power Kit, and this is brand new to the market. With the design of the Ecoflow Power Kit, wiring and powering your van has never been easier. Okay, so let's take a look at the Ecoflow Power Kit. This is the 5 kilowatt kits, and this is the Independence bundle. So it comes with a battery. This is the power hub. We have an AC/DC distribution panel and the remote display. I'm super excited to finally get my hands on one of these because power systems are evolving, and this represents the latest in technology. And this type of system, one of the key criteria of the design is that it's super easy to put together. So along with all these components, we also have all of the wiring that's pre-done in harnesses with the correct connectors. So until you start to wire in all of your individual components, this does not actually require you to cut, crimp, solder, or put any wires together yourself, which is obviously going to save a bunch of time, and also will just give you the confidence that it's installed properly and all of your connections are good. So let's start out with the battery. This is a 5 kilowatt battery pack with a built-in BMS. And this battery will get about 3,500 cycles in its lifetime. So if you were to cycle it once every day, that's about 10 years of power out of one battery pack, which is really great. The operating temperature for these batteries is -4 degrees Fahrenheit all the way up to 122 degrees. And one of the nice features of the Ecoflow battery is that it has a built-in heater. So in order to extend the amount of time that it can operate at low temperatures, once the system notices that the battery is getting cold, it will use some of the power to heat up the battery so that it can continue to charge and discharge even when it gets down to below 0 degrees. So next, let's take a look at the power hub. You plug the battery into the power hub, and this manages all of the incoming and outgoing power from the battery. So all of your charging, including solar, alternator, and shore power charging, comes in through this unit, and that's what charges the battery. And then all of the power output that you have, including the AC inverter and the DC power distribution, happen here in the power hub. The power hub has some pretty impressive specs. So built into this is a 3,600 watt inverter, which is very powerful for a van, and it actually goes up to 7,200 watts of peak power. So pretty much any appliance that you would put in a van could be run off of this inverter. And it's also quite small. So compared to some of the other inverters we use, based on what this does, it's a very small unit and weighing in at only 14 pounds. Some of the other specs of this are you can output power in 3 different voltages. So 110 volt power is going to be supplied for your alternating current, and then you can also choose between your 12 volt or 24 volt output. It's actually 13.6 and 26.4 volts. That's how these systems operate, but you can choose between the two, which is really nice. So in order to charge the batteries, the power hub gives you 4 different ways to charge. You can charge with solar panels up to 30 amps. You can charge with your alternator up to 60 amps. Ecoflow does sell a smart generator, which is kind of like a small gas generator, and that will charge the batteries at up to 1,800 watts. Or you could also charge via shore power. So if you're able to plug your van in, the fastest way to charge these batteries is going to be with a shore power charge. So the next piece of equipment is going to be the AC/DC panel. So from the power hub, you run out a couple of cables that are provided with the kit into the AC/DC panel, and then that distributes out all of the power to your appliances. So it comes with 6 AC circuits and 12 DC circuits. So pretty much for any van, this is going to be sufficient to power up everything in the van and also put each of the components on its own switch with its own fuse so that you're able to turn your different appliances on and off. What's really cool about this kit is the remote display is not only a display, but it actually gives you control over the power in the van. So you can, from the display itself, turn on your AC power, turn on your DC power, or of course turn them off. And then you can control each of the individual circuits, 6 of them for AC and 6 of them for DC, directly from the panel. So as an example, if for some reason you just wanted to turn your refrigerator off because you weren't using it, you could go to the display and click that circuit to off, and then now just that component has been shut down. Also, when you're storing your van, you can easily go to the display and just turn everything off at once. The remote display also will connect to the Ecoflow app and the internet, so you're able to view the history of all of your power consumption, what's currently going on with the system, and do some of those controls from the app as well. So some of the other things that come with the kit are all of the wires that you're going to need. Even those to wire in your solar and your alternator, those are already pre-made in harnesses with connectors. So that's going to save a ton of time, and also you know that you're getting the right lengths and the right gauges of wire, just making the whole installation a lot simpler. Also, Ecoflow includes mounting hardware, both for the battery and the power hub. So with these being heavy pieces of equipment going in a moving vehicle, it's really nice that those things are included and you don't have to make them yourself. So this is the full system. Again, this is the Independence Kit, which is basically everything that Ecoflow offers in their power kit right now. This is the 5 kilowatt version, but you could also easily add another one of these batteries and make it a 10 kilowatt power system, which is the equivalent to about 800 amp hours. Okay, so now we've talked about it, I'm really excited to see just how fast this goes together. So let's open up the rest of these boxes and start plugging it in. The first thing to do is read all of the manuals. I took some time to go through all these. There's definitely some information in here that wouldn't be plainly obvious, so good idea, read through those first. And starting with the battery, we'll connect this to the power hub using this cable, which comes with the kit. I'm gonna go ahead and lay down the power hub. Normally this would mount to a wall. And one thing to keep in mind that this unit will get hot, especially when the AC power inverter is running or when it's charging. So this is the main unit that needs to have good ventilation around it. We just start by taking this plug and plugging it into the top of the battery. And then we run this over to battery 1. Take off the cover and plug that in. So now the battery is connected to the power hub. So the next thing we'll want to do here is plug in power from the power hub to the DC panel. One of the nice things about the kit is that all of the harnesses are labeled. So this says DC out, so we know exactly what it is. We just find the DC out, which is on this side over here, and plug that in. So the other side is 2 ring terminals, and those are going to come in, connect right here. So now we have the battery connected to the power hub, and the power hub distributing the DC power over to the power panel. So the last main piece of equipment here is the remote display. And we have 2 communications cables. One of the communications cable goes from the power hub to the distribution panel, and another goes from the power hub to the display. So we'll hook both of those up. That only took about 2 minutes, and we now have everything connected to where we could actually start putting power cables going from the distribution panel to whatever appliances you need. And once we fire this all up, we'll immediately have AC power here at the power hub, because it does have one outlet on the outside of it. But from there, we could also wire in any AC outlets we have or any AC appliances through the 6 different circuits that it has right here. So altogether, super simple. I don't think it could get really easier than this. So let's just go through the process of starting it up and see that it all works. First thing to do is to turn on the battery. And right now it's showing that we're at 29%. We will also turn on the DC and AC power buttons right here. And just by turning on the power hub, since it was connected in, the display has come on as well. So now that we have everything powered up, in order to wire, this is also going to be super simple. We have all of our AC circuits over here on the left side and the DC circuits here on the right side. And it has line, neutral, and ground in these super easy connection terminals. So all you need to do is strip down the wire, leave a nice solid connection, and plug it in and lock it down, and you'll have a very strong and safe connection without having to solder or crimp any terminals on. And we do that the same way over here with the DC power. You're able to put in 12 circuits, and 6 of them will be controllable from the monitor, meaning you can turn them on and off. And the other 6 will be normal, which that means that they're always on. You also have a fuse for each of the circuits here, and you can put in the appropriate size based on what appliance is going to be going on that circuit. Once you have that all wired in, there's also a nice cover that goes over this, so all of this does not remain exposed. And it's really a good idea to leave access to this, because if one of your breakers gets tripped or you need to change a fuse, this is where you're going to do it. Okay, moving on to the last component in the system, which is the display. I'm super impressed with this display. It has really everything you need. You can click in and get different views as well, so it's good to know what your battery percentage is. It will have a graph which shows the power usage. It also shows the power history. You're able to go in and look at all of your input and output, so the power that's flowing into the unit and the power that's flowing out. Individually, you can not only see them, but turn each of those circuits on and off. I'm going to plug in a couple appliances here and just see what the display looks like when it's actually consuming power. All right, so we've got 2 small appliances here that are common to the van building. And the first one is going to be a small 12-volt water heater. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug this in. We can see that it's consuming 130 watts of power. The display is also calculating how much time that the battery still has left in terms of capacity if you were pulling this much power from it. So it's adjusting right now down to 8 hours and some minutes, and I can feel this starting to get hot. So we know that the DC outlets are working. And another cool thing here, if I go to the output, I click on DC, I can see that this particular circuit is drawing 123 watts, and I can actually just turn it off right there. And so I can control each of these circuits right from the display. Again, for DC, you get 6 controllable circuits, and for AC, you also get 6 controllable circuits right here from the display. Okay, so speaking of AC, let's try one more device in here. And this is just a little heat gun. I'm just going to test it right here on the unit where it gives you one plug to plug into. There's a little graph that shows what the power usage was, called the power curve. And so that's super cool because visually you can see how much power you're using. Also, just so you know, this is where you set the DC output voltage. So you can do 12 or 24 volts. It doesn't output both voltages through the DC circuit. You have to choose one or the other. All right, some of the other things in here, I'm just going to go into the display menu. So you can connect the unit to Wi-Fi. And you can also set your temperature. I'm going to set that to Fahrenheit. That happened really fast. We have all of the componentry hooked up. There are obviously a few more things that you would need to hook into this to make it a fully functional system. So for instance, we have the harness for your solar panels. And again, this makes it really simple. You have some standard connectors on this side, and then a harness with a plug on that side. And there are 3 different inputs for power coming in through DC. So you could have multiple solar banks. Also, in order to get alternator charging, it comes with another harness with a pretty generous lead on it. So this should be enough to get up to your alternator connection. And you simply plug it in, positive and negative going to the alternator, and the power hub manages the charge. We also have an AC input wire. So this would be like coming from your shore power connection. If you had one of those on the side of the van, you just wire it in there, and then you plug it in to the outlet. And then the final cable is the AC distribution cable. So this is what plugs into the power hub and then wires into the distribution panel so that it gets AC power from here to here and then out to your appliances. Let's take a look at the Ecoflow app on the iPhone. So open up the app, you're connecting to the power hub, and super cool. It gives you this little visual of a Sprinter van. With the power system, it shows how many watts of alternator power are coming in, how many watts of solar, if you're charging via shore power or otherwise. All that information is displayed here. It's very similar to what is on the screen, but there are a couple more visual displays. And also, this is the best place to get the history. So if you want to look back over the past week, month, or longer to see how much solar gain you're getting, for instance, or how much your alternator is adding to the system versus solar, then this is the place to do it. And then going through the setting menus, it's pretty easy to connect. I can tell you that each unit is linked to one iPhone app, so it really can't be shared between multiple users. You can disconnect it and connect it to another, but that is just because the app actually controls the power, whether the circuits are on and off, and that's not something that you want to have anybody have access to. And you can see here, if each of these kits could have up to 3 batteries. So I think the 400 amp hour kit, which is this, or the 800 amp hour, which is adding another battery, would be the 2 most popular among van builders and van lifers. And you can see right here on the app how each battery would have its own display, and you'd be able to see which is going on. You could be able to see what is going on with each battery independently. That is it. That was by far the fastest power system that I've ever put together. I'm really impressed with the Ecoflow kits. All of the connections are really high quality, which is important to me. You can tell that even if the van is moving around, these are going to stay super tight. And then just the convenience that they've put into each of the pieces of equipment. It just is going to make putting a power system together so much faster. And I think for the average person, power systems to be a little bit intimidating. This is going to be a breath of fresh air because almost everything is done for you, and the things that tend to be the most difficult, which is figuring out the wiring, making harnesses, making wire terminals strong and safe, you basically don't have to do that at all with this system. All of the Ecoflow Power Kits are available on our website now, so if you're interested, check them out. And as always, if you need help sizing your system, figuring out your solar input, or figuring out what alternator to add to the system, just give us a call or shoot us an email and we would be happy to help. We're gonna put this system to the test in the coming months. If you guys wanna follow along, then please subscribe. We are the power system experts, and this is just one more tool that we're gonna be adding to our arsenal. So thank you guys for watching. Tell us what you think about this power system. If you're excited about it, let us know in the comments, and we will see you again next time.